guys, Dan with S3 Archery here, and I wanted to do a quick tips and tricks video of the Easton Axis Traditional shafts. This arrow is one that, coming from the factory, has a little bit of a cresting up here, but if you're a guy like me and Joe who likes to do your own cresting, it's nice to get that off of there. And so first thing that I found out was using just nail polish remover will easily take off that factory crest, but I like to leave the spine and the grains per inch on there. And so all I simply did was take a little piece of electrical tape, cut it to the right size so it would just cover up that, and then using that nail polish remover and a paper towel, I was able to get all the rest of it off. And then once the nail polish remover was dry, I pulled off the tape, and I still had this, but now I had kind of a naked shaft so that I was able to put on the crest that I wanted. And so no steel wool required, nothing fancy, just a standard nail polish remover you can get at any store. So that's trick and tip number one. Second one is the hidden insert technology. Because that insert does go in from the front, you have to be extremely careful about how far you push it in. You also have to take into consideration, if you're going to use carbon collars, that's going to all of a sudden now make it so that it seems like that insert is pushed further back. First round of these arrows that I had to play around with, I ended up getting it where the insert itself was probably in just slightly too far, even though they give you a tool to use. And then with that carbon collar, pushing that front of the shaft slightly more forward, I wasn't able to get full traction on some of the tips that I wanted to use. And so I simply reversed them, put another insert in from this side, but not burying it quite as far, and then moved the nock here. And so instead of wasting a shaft, I ended up salvaging a shaft. Its spine is going to be affected because now there is an insert in the back, and it's not going to fly quite as true as some of your other ones, but for stumping or just playing around at close ranges, now you've got a great arrow to kick around. So that's another thing to take into consideration. To help offset that, what I ended up doing is I took their insert tool, which you get when you buy them, and I put a couple of small little rubber bands, and so when I push this in, it ends up bottoming out before the tool normally would. And so what this allows is that now that insert, instead of being at the factory determined kind of length, it's slightly closer to the front of that, so that allows you to shoot arrows that have a slightly smaller shank that you're kind of screwing in. You have to be a little bit careful though, because if you don't push it in far enough, you're not going to bottom out your tip. And so I found that just a tiny little bit made all the difference. Even if I'm not running that carbon collar, I still get really kind of positive traction in there. And so between the insert kind of knowledge, the cresting knowledge, and being able to flip these around because they're not tapered, hopefully you gained a little bit of knowledge that you can use and transition into your shooting.